Guys, how you doing? Welcome back to the Sim Shack. I am, of course, Sim UK, taking a look at a fantastic aircraft, and I do mean fantastic aircraft. The Black Square Commander 114. This aircraft is just a breath of fresh air. I'll be honest with you, I have for the longest time regarded A2A as the absolute standout best aircraft builders for flight simulators, for Microsoft Flight Simulator for the longest time, and for many reasons. Their attention to detail on the audio, on the systems, on the aircraft itself, on the flight model, on the exterior forces in a way that no other aircraft for Microsoft Flight Simulator has even bothered to try. And they've done that via their AccuSim system. This Black Square Commander, you can see there's loads of liveries there. I personally really like this one, which we're going to pick for today. So yeah, this is a preview copy of the Black Square Commander 114, and I'll be honest with you, right off the bat, I know exactly where we're going to take off from. KABY. If I could type it in. KABY, in the middle of Georgia, southwest Georgia, in fact. And this is the very, very, very location where these aircraft actually left the production line. They came here. This is where they first flew. So it seems like the perfect starting point. Oh, except I didn't want to start in the aircraft. Let me just fix that, sorry. This aircraft, I think, if it's not them breaking through the door onto A2A's territory, then they're banging really hard on it. They are smashing that door. And I think possibly they want a piece of the action, which is absolutely brilliant, I have to say. So we're looking at this in the nighttime light, and she's a thing of beauty. She really is. I love these old GA aircraft. You have to forgive me, I'm walking around with the smallest keyboard and mouse combination you'll ever see in your life. But yeah, she's just so well put together. And an admission straight off the bat, the videos that are produced by Black Square promoting this aircraft are so much better than anything I could put together, because they've been working on it, they are passionate about it, they know every system inside and out, and there are so many things to cover, so many positives to cover in this that I couldn't even possibly begin to be able to cover it all in a single video. Just not possible. Absolutely not possible. One of the things they did mention in one of their videos, the landing gear. Now there's a lot of cool stuff around landing gear, which I'll show you in a minute. But you know, that's industrial strength landing gear there for a little GA aircraft. They're not going to break even with a really rough landing. Superb aircraft, absolutely stunning. And there's a really interesting feature. I've never seen or heard of this before, but when you turn the ailerons, the rudder will also deflect slightly to assist with turning. I'll desperately try and show you that. Just an incredible feature, which I absolutely love. This is one of my favourite aircraft right now, and I've only been flying it for like 2 minutes. Down here, bottom left-hand corner, is a little tablet. We'll bring that up. Now, I haven't really looked at this very much, but yeah, so you can have all of these different variations on the dashboard display, and can even swap it over to some really, really old stuff, which I like. I genuinely love getting an aircraft in its original default state and trying to fly it using old school technology and old school systems and flight systems. But this is the key thing. The one thing that A2A had that Black Square were never really working on at all, despite my many requests, is persistence. Now, they have introduced, I think, somewhere in the region of 75, I think it is, different failure points. You can see we've got an engine failure, an engine fire, got magneto left, magneto right, magneto to grounding. There's an awful lot of things that can possibly go wrong. And you can make them fail at any time, but I don't really want to make them fail at any time. What I want them to do is fail unexpectedly. Or when I say unexpectedly, I mean I haven't maintained the aircraft properly. So if I've taken off and flown a couple of flights and the sounds from the engine don't sound quite right, and I've got persistence turned on, that's this stuff down here, then I would very much like for that item or that element that I'm not looking after properly to break without my expectation or knowledge that it's going to do so. If the engine is screaming at me and saying, I don't feel right, something's not right here, and I can hear it, and you will hear it. That's what's one of the best things about Black Square. If you don't deal with it, it should persist the next time you fly, and you will have a serious issue, a serious malfunction, a serious failure. And then it's how you deal with that. Now that, in my humble opinion, is the definition of a flight simulator. The absolute definition of a flight simulator is if you don't look after the airplane and listen to its engine and listen to its systems and do things properly, you are going to break and bugger up parts of the engine, and they will fail on you sooner rather than later, and then you've got to deal with that. Now that, to me, that level of persistence is incredible. One thing that Black Square don't have, and if Black Square are listening, thank you very much for continuing to work towards creating these fantastic aircraft. This is by far the best yet. But one thing you haven't done that A2A do is allow us to take a brand new aircraft like this and age it instantly. So, for example, I've got a career mode on air hauler, something like that, and I want to buy a second-hand aircraft that's already close to failure, but I don't know where those failures are until I check the engine and get spark plugs changed, things like that. That's what I'd love to see, that option. That's not currently in here, but what they do have are these 3 persistence states. One for avionics, one for flight critical items, and then one for non-essential items. Non-essential items, I'm guessing, are where you leave the levers at the end of a flight. So instead of leaving it there, you leave it there. That kind of thing. That's not going to make or break the bank at all, but it will be recorded and kept in here. Additionally, the amount of fuel that you have in the engine, any damage that you have caused through reckless abandonment or terrible flight mechanics, whatever. Now, one of the things I wanted A2A to get into, and they told me they were going to do it, but I've seen no evidence of it yet, is landing gear failure. So you can see there's some gear indicator failures there. But landing gear failure, if you land too hard, it should break, my humble opinion, or damage, or cause some sort of problem to the landing gear or the landing gear systems. They haven't done that. Equally, they haven't done anything with the flaps. So if you deploy the flaps over recommended speed up here, nothing happens at all. But flap motor, flap indicator, gear motor, gear selector warning, panel miscellaneous. So that Black Square are starting. That's why I say this is why they're either banging on the door and about to step into the arena with A2A, or they're already in there and they're starting to dominate, and they're starting with the 75 storm scope. That's this thing here, storm scope, with their 75 failure points. They may already be ahead of a curve. Now, if I go to electric panel, you can see here at the bottom, this is actually the landing gear and the hydraulic system that powers it. I don't know if I can zoom in on that a little bit more. So yeah, this system currently applies, and there's a complex system here where you've got like an additional backup alternator that you can switch between if you have an alternator failure, something like that. Like I say, the promo videos that Black Square made themselves are really, really exceptionally good. So good. And I can't really beat what they've done. They've done a perfect job. All I can do is come in here and tell you that everything they said is true. There's no propaganda there. Everything they said is in this aircraft and available for you, is in here and available for you. It is sublime. So the electrical systems are there. I think actually, if you have a failure somewhere down here in the landing gear, you can manually extend the landing gear or something. I may be confusing two different aircraft there, so just take that one with a pinch of salt, because I'm trying to review so many things at the moment, and my poor little brain is trying to squeeze more stuff in there than it's capable of holding, I think. So what else have we got? We've got the failures, I've covered that. We've got the cabin. This is the heat exchanger system. This is how the aircon and everything is sort of maintained. And I guess if there are any failures, you'll see those here. You got the payload system, a nice little, you can switch between gallons and pounds. But you've got the pilot door, co-pilot door. You've got oxygen, which again is a persistent state oxygen load. At the moment, we're very much center of balance is off because there's only one person in the aircraft, but hey, I'm afraid that's the case. Wheel chocks, pilot covers, engine heater. I'm not going to go around checking all this stuff, but we jump outside, whereas there was nothing there before. We can now see there it is. This wonderful little system connected straight up to the engine. All sorts of different combinations. Now, one of the most important things that A2A used to do, or do, is produce very, very realistic engine systems, far beyond anything that you'll see in a default Microsoft Flight Simulator aircraft. And Black Square, in my humble opinion, are right on the money there. They're just as good. And just to clarify before I go any further, I'm not competing A2A against Black Square or vice versa. I don't want either one to be the best and win out. I want them both operating in the same arena, both creating different aircraft, using different systems, and basically pushing each other to do more and be more. That's what I want to see. And that's what I think is happening. Black Square, when they first came out, were the concept and the terminology they were using was exceptionally exciting, but when you actually got down to the systems and tested them, I felt they were lacking in comparison to A2A. Well, that's all changed now. with this aircraft, Black Square have really put themselves on the map. They are, without doubt, on the A2A level, perhaps even exceeding them in some areas. And I'll show you some of those areas in a minute. So we'll leave that up. If you ignore my drift, which is most annoying. Trying to zoom out. God. I really need to get this PC hooked up and rigged up. Right, now I'm going to shut up. I'm going to leave this up here in the corner as best I can. And we're going to try and do a startup. First time I've done a startup on this aircraft. So I'm going by memory from what I've read and what I've seen. So fingers crossed it works. Now, first thing that really stands out. Look at the key. Look at that. And when you're flying, that will still have sort of movement and give you some idea of what angle the aircraft is at potentially. I think it's a lovely feature. I really do. Right, let's get some batteries on. Let's check. Oh, I can't seem to use the mouse to look around. Fuel is on both. We'll put the fuel pump on. In fact, to do that, I'm meant to have pushed the throttle fully forward. Put it back and just crack it a little bit. That should, in theory, be enough. Oh, she nearly went. There we are. Now, you can hear she's a bit lumpy. If we look at the systems, that's indicating there's an option up there to repair engine, but engine condition is 100%. There you go. Do you hear the change in audio? That initial startup where it's, you know, trying to get some oil. Maybe the oil's a bit thick. Maybe the oil's sat a little bit, and it's kind of pulling the oil up into the engine and trying to run the engine properly. But it's now, you know, it's now getting to the point where it's quite happy. I'm supposed to tick over around about 800 RPM. So I'm actually running a little high here. When you're idle, you're supposed to be down around about 800 RPM, which is about there. Doesn't she sound nice? Obviously, the audio is superb. Let's look at this. God, I can't wait until I've got my flight system running properly. Listen to that. Thing of beauty, isn't it? If I give her a blip. Now I believe I can force a backfire. This engine's in mint condition, so maybe not, but let's, without stalling, let's try and get a backfire. Ah, nuggets. Can you hear it? Try and zoom in a little bit so you can see it. So what this thing does is it scans ahead for electrical impulse of any sort. And what's wonderful about it, and I think it is wonderful, or rather I think it's wonderful that they've engineered it, but it can't tell the difference between a lightning strike a mile ahead or a tiny little arc just centimetres away from its sensor. So I believe it's on. Whilst it's on, we can test this by... See all those little blue dots? Now that's because I just turned the pitot heat on and off, on and off, on and off, on and off. And it's arced. It's caused a tiny electrical arc whilst the power is transferring from the button to the switch to the pitot heat system. And that has been picked up by this. So it, as far as it's concerned, there was an electrical charge somewhere where those blue dots are. Isn't that absolutely fantastic? So if you're flying along and there is a, let's say you're having an electrical fault, that will probably show up on here before anywhere else, before you notice it anywhere else. And I just think, isn't that wonderful? Shouldn't that be in all aircraft? I just, like I say, Black Square have taken the challenge of all their dashes looking the same, and they've gone above and beyond to try and just implement the most incredible features, and I think that's one of them. I can't remember what it's called. Let's call it the Electrostatic Funk Daddy for the time being, purely because I can't think of the name of it. This is another lovely little thing, ILS guide, if you will. Basically there's a green dot in the centre, which means you're absolutely smack bang on your ILS, and if it goes to the left, you need to come a little bit to the right, or the other way around. Let me work that out. There are so many systems in here that I haven't had a chance to play with. Not to mention, well, you notice I changed the all this stuff to get rid of the GPS and whatnot, but you have to restart the aircraft in order for that to pop in. It doesn't do it on the fly, sadly. Not the biggest problem in the world, because I imagine, you know, once you've set it, you're going to stay with that at least for a little while. But there's some really interesting stuff here. So this over here, I mean, oh my god, I'm trying to zoom in, and yet all I'm doing is accidentally activating things. I hate this. This is why I like to have switches and everything set up properly. At the moment my rig just isn't set up properly, so I'm just sort of faffing my way through. But this will allow you to put a VOR signal in and then adjust it. So let's say you know for a fact that the VOR is 20 degrees to the right of the runway. Well, you can adjust that here so that your signal, kind of like a DME, I suppose, your signal will effectively guide you in where you want it rather than where it is, if that makes sense. A fantastic feature, prone to so many problems. I mean, genuinely, you could kill yourself with that sort of technology, but also it could make your life a lot easier. Zoom in a little bit. But as I move the aileron, the rudder and the rear trims all together synchronise move, and that gives you far better turns, smoother turns, or supposedly anyway. And again, I've never seen that on any other aircraft, so another unique, fantastic feature. There we go. Alright, so Let's wobble our way out there. Bearing in mind I have no brakes. And my whole system is not set up properly in any way, shape or form. Also, you'll notice, if I go above here, that the wings are swept forward by 5 to 10 degrees. Again, that's going to have a huge effect, I would imagine, on the handling. No flaps, not touching the controls, other than to keep her straight on the runway, but she's up. That's all by herself, that's nothing to do with me. So responsive already, I can feel it. I'll get my gear up. Oh, I don't know what that did. It didn't bring my gear up. I think we're going to have an incident here. I found the gear button, but everything seems to have gone off. Oh, we got a lot of alarms. Okay, problem is I can't start the bloody thing because I've got to hold the controller with one hand. Oh, balls. Well, I don't know what Control G does. Should we do it again? Control G. Oh, that's what Control G does. Cuts the prop. Right, okay. So that's what that does. And then I press this button. Oh, that's what that does. Oh, God. At least we know what happened. That's the exciting thing, isn't it? At least we know what happened. Right. I'd love to put that tablet away, but I don't know the button to do it. What I want to do, what I wanted to do was a vertical takeoff, actually. Let me try this ridiculous manoeuvre that's totally impossible. So many issues with my current flight sim rig. The flying is very, very difficult. Right, so I think this is my landing gear. It is indeed. Just inside flap distance. Very high. Flipping drift is literally peeing me off. Now, if you go to Just Flight's website, you can see the videos uploaded by Black Square promoting this aircraft. And if you look at handling or avionics, I think it is, one or the other, there is a fantastic maneuver the guy does where he touches down, does a barrel roll and touches down again. Absolutely insane. Way beyond my skill level. I'm gonna try and do it anyway, and then we'll take off and be aggressive with the aircraft and do some stalls and just see what the engine can take. in drift. It's driving me nuts. So that's 0 throttle. Throttle couldn't be any lower, look. Right. We're not going to be able to do this. Too high for a start. Right, maximum power. Oh, big ground effect. Oh, it's so difficult. It's so difficult. I tell you what, he makes it look so easy. It really isn't. That there are so many forces fighting against you there. I'm going to keep trying that little practice and see if I can't do it. Right, I'm just going to go vertical and see what the aircraft can cope with. Also, my trim seems to be completely off. Landing gear down again. Let's try this again. No flaps. Clean aircraft. Apologies for the never-ending drift. There she stalls. I don't know why the trim is so far in the sky like this. Right, so that alarm indicates that we should be putting the landing gear down because it thinks we've forgotten. Of course we haven't forgotten. Our speed is getting close to stall speed. See from the speedometer there. I mean, even with the throttle at completely idle, she'll just chug along like this. Absolutely no problem. I mean, I am holding the stick back. Just a little bit more on, a little bit more nose up. Let's get that stall. Let's go outside and see what that looks like. Now we're very close to the ground, so this might be a terrible place to do this, but there's the stall. Oh, it's a big one as well. Yeah, I couldn't pull out of that. Let's go a bit higher. Try it again. You can see how I had to force it into a stall. The aircraft itself is so well built, so well designed. I'm surprised it's not one of the more popular aircraft. In fact, I'm surprised it's not utilised more for training purposes because it just has so many wonderful safety features. It's such a brilliant aerodynamic design. Plus, one of its key features, perfect for the likes of me, the cockpit's wider, about 15% wider than most GA aircraft, so it's really comfortable in there as well. Right, let's do this again. Power on. Trying to keep the nose up. We're going to stall any second. Now we did go into an inverted spin last time. Curious to see what happens if I'm inside the cockpit. whether I can stop that from happening. I'm full back on the stick. Throttle is fully off, but she just won't stall. The aeroplane thinks that we're trying to land, obviously, but no stall warning. Isn't that incredible? It's almost impossible to stall it with the engine off, or with power off. It'll just glide forever. Really try and force a stall. There it is, there it is, there it is. The nose just drops a bit and we're off again. But I'm not quite sure how I managed to get into that spin stall that I did earlier, but there's the stall now. The nose drops a little bit. What a fantastic aircraft, don't you think? I genuinely think this might be my favourite aircraft in my supply simulator at the moment. There's so many things I want to test and try and experiment with this aircraft. It's phenomenal. Absolutely gorgeous. Oh, wasn't paying attention. My controls appear to have been reversed. Let's get the gear down. I have never landed an aircraft on the co-pilot side. It's weird, but not that weird. Not as weird as I thought it would be. In fact, if anything, I think I'm better. I'm a better pilot from the wrong side of the plane. This is probably the side of the plane I should be sat, let's be honest. Yeah, I urge you to go see the video, the black square video, because it's such a brilliant manoeuvre, and above all else it really highlights just how fantastic this aircraft is. I haven't gone into any of the systems really, just trying to fly whilst also correcting the camera. I don't advise it. Oh! Oh! There you go, just showcasing how good and strong that undercarriage is. Let's jump in actually and see whether that has affected the oh, tremendous. I can't see the flipping thing when it's over there. Come hither. How does one change seats? I'm stuck in this seat.
Albany ground, Rockwell Alpha, 6 Tango Lima Hotel, taxi to parking.
Rockwell Alpha 6 Tango Lima Hotel, taxi to general aviation parking using taxiway Charlie.
You hear the engine? That might just be yeah, look at that. That's just a bit of vibration actually. You can see it being transformed right through to the rudder. The tips of the wings, everything's moving. It's all simulated. You can see it shaking and rattling about. What a fantastic aircraft. I mean, honestly,
Rockwell Tango Lima Hotel.
I want to get my teeth into it, and what I'd like to see from Black Square is proper persistence. The ability to buy this aircraft in a used state with random failure configurations.
Rockwell Tango Lima Hotel. Did you hear my last transmission?
Excuse me, sorry. Yeah, and a more persistent state, so keep track of where it's parked. I don't even know if that's possible amongst the flight simulation, I'm not sure. But, you know, the condition it was in, I really desperately want to see if I've damaged the undercarriage. But I've never ever swapped to the co-pilot seat in my life. I have no idea how I did it. And as such, I've got no idea how to undo it. So I could jump back in the aircraft, would be on the wrong side. And as such, I can't click on the flipping that thing. We'll see if we can get a backfire. It does actually say to run the aircraft lean when you're on the ground. I don't think I'm going to be able to squeeze a backfire out of this. No, all I did was shut the engine down. See that lightning strike there? Basically the whole aircraft just got electrocuted. Yeah, so I don't know what's going on with that. That's working okay, but that wasn't. I don't know what was causing that. Yeah, anyway, plane comes out in a couple of days' time. Highly recommend it. As soon as I get a chance, I'm going to be taking this all over the world and just trying to break it, trying to see what happens if I do this, what happens if I do that. This is by far Black Square's best aircraft. One final request of Black Square, if I may. Please consider at least going through all of your other aircraft you've released and upgrade the persistence to be the same level as it is here. Because, I mean, all you're doing, and we both know, is recording data into a database system, or, you know, that could be anything. It could be a notepad page or anything at all. But please implement that system across the board on all of your aircraft, because it's the one standout feature that makes A2A for me the go-to aircraft. If ever I have an aircraft that I want personally to own, then I always head towards A2A. And to have you doing the same thing, I mean, the Caravan is one of my all-time favourite aircraft. So if you can make that persistent, I would be personally so grateful. But I think it would really benefit all of your viewers and all of your customers very much. It's something I think they would appreciate immensely. If it's a simple, easy, single module attachment that allows it to be persistent, then please do go ahead and do it. That would be phenomenal. And it might get you a few more sales. You never know. Anyway, thank you for watching, guys. Apologies for the quality of the video and whatnot, but time and availability are two resources I'm desperately short of. But I really wanted to get a video out there just to highlight just how good this is, just how much better Black Square have got, and how close they are to A2A, and maybe even exceeding A2A in certain areas. I think this is by far the best aircraft they've ever released, and I absolutely love it. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one. So take care. Bye for now.